Hi everyone. Just a quick update. In our last Torah study, we talked about this Parasha. Let me try to pronounce it right again. It's a mouthful. Beracha. We talked about the Israelites being really upset that there wasn't any meat to eat. So anyway, I looked into this a little bit further, and I found out that um, if you look at, I'll give you the number here. If you look at Numbers 11, here, let me get my glasses. Verse 6, yeah? It says, "Now our gullets are shriveled. There is nothing at all, nothing but this manna to look to." Now, I've listened to Rabbi Shapiro over at Chabad.org speak on this very, very subject. Now, notice, he says, this is what he says, notice that they didn't talk about the manna in terms of what it tasted like. They were really more concerned, really more concerned with its visual, how it looked. And it says it looked like a coriander seed, and its color was like bdellium, which is clear. So the roundness and the clearness of it is to signify uh, two things. The roundness is infinity because it's not a straight line, it's round. So there's no beginning and no end. So this manna represented infinity, and it also represented clearness, which meant that, again, it meant an infinite amount of tastes. And Rabbi Shapiro calls this Lechem Hashemayim, which means the bread of heaven. So this Lechem Hashemayim is what they're talking about when they discuss this manna that's been falling down and how the Israelites are just, we don't want that. But they address it visually, not how it, not not its other properties. But it does give a hint in here, when it says, "Nothing but this manna to look to," not to taste, but to look to. So I think that's a really important concept. Um, Now, I mean, you can look this up. I'll leave Rabbi Shapiro's lecture on this Torah portion in the low bar, so you can listen to it yourself. And even I looked up, of course, a bracha about eating bread, and it says the bracha is Hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'shem Yeshua Hamashiach lechem hashemayim. That means who brings forth bread from the earth in the name of Yeshua the Messiah, the bread of heaven. So, yes, it's a very important part of the Torah because it is about the bread of heaven, Lechem Hashemayim. Now, what else did I want to discuss with you here? Let me get back to this view. Ooh, it's darker. It's darker. The other thing I wanted to discuss is what happens with most of the people that watch my videos, as far as I know, and I know most of the people in our Torah study class are mostly converts. And I've had some experience in the past with people questioning my Jewishness. And I want to know if it's happened to you and how you dealt with it. Because I know for me, like recently on here, I had somebody who's not Jewish question my Jewishness and doing it purposely to hurt me because I think this person knows that it's something that can really hurt a convert when they're questioned about their faith and their love of Hashem and of the Jewish people. It's a very, very touchy subject. I recommend people never do this. Never do this, okay? It's up to you and Hashem. Your seriousness, your dedication is between you and God, right? The rabbi assesses you, but if you are just somebody on the internet or somebody, trying to make a convert feel bad, that's the number one way to do it, is to question their dedication and to question their Jewishness. That's a big no-no. And people who are Jewish should know better than to do that. I mean, the book of Ruth is so clear and plain. In fact, I just did the first chapter of the book of Ruth. I will finish that. But so this guy anyway on the internet, who I don't really know very well, is questioning my Jewish identity. And I'm like, what gives you the right to do that? And you see, this is kind of the atmosphere on YouTube. There's a handful of people, not even a handful. There's one person that I know of anyway, that claims to be Jewish, right? And goes around hating on other Jews who are supportive of the state of Israel. Okay? This is what it comes down to. So this person has discovered me, probably a lot of other people too. And if you're Jewish and you support the state of Israel, then this particular person is gonna come after you in one way or another. Like with me, this person made videos, made several comments, went around all over the internet saying, how terrible I was and how I wasn't really Jewish because I support the state of Israel. And then had the nerve to tell me before we were going to do this Torah study group together, had the nerve to say to me, if you're going to do Torah study, you better do it right. Which meant, if you're going to do Torah study, then you've got to get me involved so you can do it right. Because if you keep supporting the state of Israel while you're doing Torah study, then it can't possibly be right. I mean, it's just such a, oh, I don't know. He's just such a, not a nice person, right? So I wished him well, go on your way. I just didn't want anything to do with him. He was just so mean. But what he did was he went around and he implanted this idea in other people's heads that, in order to be Jewish, you have to deny your caring for the state of Israel. And he would go around and make problems for people like myself. So there's people on the internet that have heard all of this nonsense from this guy. And these people, they're not Jewish. Most of these people aren't Jewish, so they don't even understand this whole thing to begin with, right? They just hear him and they go, oh, well, he claims this, and so he must be right. And so I get this, occasionally, somebody will question my Jewishness, and it always just, no matter who's doing it, it hurts me. More care should be taken. Now I mean, I'm still angry at this person, but this person isn't Jewish. So, that takes a little bit of the sting out of it. But still, to do this on a public forum, to humiliate somebody like that on a public forum is just a really terrible thing. And I'm wondering if any of you have any experiences on the internet where somebody has questioned your Jewish identity and how you handled it. I know for me, my first response is anger, right? But then I just run under the wing feathers of Hashem, it's just an instantaneous reaction. I mean, I know that's where I'll find comfort. So that's what I do. And then I'll read Psalms, like tonight I read, part of Psalm 191, which is really, really good, especially for my situation where this person has questioned my Jewish identity. Um, it's something that I hope people who are watching this will understand how bad it is, how terrible it is to do that to a convert, to somebody who chose this, who had to go through years of um, not not really knowing where to belong, and then finding where they belong, and then having to go through a whole bunch of different things to be accepted, you know, and then you're finally accepted, and then you've got people who question you all over again, you know. It's not nice. It's not a fun thing to go through. So please, people, do not, please do not go after converts and or any Jewish person and question their Jewishness. You know, with this guy who went around saying, you know, Jews who support the state of Israel aren't really Jews. A lot of people, a lot of other Jews questioned whether he was Jewish or not. But I didn't question that. I mean, he says he's Jewish. I'm going to take him at his word that he's Jewish. Now, I don't like his philosophy. I don't like what he does to people, but I'm not going to deny him his self-proclaimed identity. If he says he's Jewish and he's anti-Israel, that's okay. But what I don't like is when people question other people's faith and other people's religious identity and or nationality. I mean, that's why would anybody care? Why would you care? You know what I mean? Because the person who's doing this to me isn't even Jewish. So why do they care? Because they just want to hurt. Because they know it's a way to hurt. And so they do it. So don't do it. It's not nice. It's very, very, very bad. So let me know in the low bar if you've had any experience with this. I would like to know. And yeah, I guess that's my video for the night. I'm going to read some more Psalms and hopefully, you know, come to some sort of, you know, comfort state with this, because it's just so, it's such a terrible thing. And this happens a lot on the internet, for me anyway, right? It happens a lot. You know, people, you know, you're not Jewish. You're not Jewish. You don't look Jewish. Ugh, I'm tired of hearing it. Anyway, good night, everybody. Shalom.